It is game day, Washington Commanders Nation, our first Washington Commanders game day of the 2025 preseason. August 8th, Gillette Stadium, we are going to play against the same New England Patriots that we just practiced against the other day. And today's video, we're talking about the 5 Washington Commanders players I'll be watching for the most tonight. And I tried to mix this list up. I'm pretty positive it's going to be about the same 5 to 7 guys for most of us, but I tried to mix it around based on a combination of excitement and I need to see these guys and expect to see these guys play a bunch during the preseason. So let's get straight into it. Top 5 Washington Commanders I'm looking forward to seeing play tonight. Good morning, Washington Commanders faithful. It is game day. It's not a real game, but this is the closest we're going to get until a month from today. We are now 1 month exactly from Washington's opener. Home opener, season opener, NFL kickoff week versus the New York Giants. We open up the preseason tonight at Gillette Stadium, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time versus the New England Patriots. The game will be broadcasted on WUSA 9, Channel 9 for those locally, and I will be doing a watch party live stream starting at 7:15 tonight. You know how we do during the regular season where I go live and react to the whole game and y'all are in the chat and we're all reacting in unison as a family. And with a preseason game, we're going to be overreacting to a lot of things. So I might as well get a video out where we talk about the top 5 players I'm most interested in seeing play football tonight versus the New England Patriots. Last night was the official start of the preseason. I know it started in the Hall of Fame game, but the first official night where multiple games and multiple teams were playing. And I got a little dose, a little taste of the Colts and the Ravens and the Seahawks and the Raiders and the Eagles and the Bengals. Washington will not be playing as many starters as I seen last night. Like, I did not need to see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase go out there and run laps around Uber drivers last night. Joe Burrow and Chase got right to the shits. They look like they're about to get right back to their offensive player of the year and MVP type numbers that they put out last year. But I don't think we're going to see much of that in Washington's game. I think we're going to see a lot of the younger, inexperienced players, and some of our rookies, even though they're slotted to start, I'm wondering if they're going to get any time tonight. And before I get to the top 5 of this list, I'm going to say a couple names that I considered for this list, but I did not add to this list. So here's the honorable mention list before we get to number 5. I'm not going to be too long-winded, I promise you. Number 1 honorable mention. You're going to be like, Rio, how is this guy not on the list? Jalen Lane. Jalen Lane, number 83, our wide receiver / punt returner that we drafted in the 4th round of the draft. I think Jalen Lane is going to get some work at punt return, and I think he's going to get a little bit of work at wide receiver. It just felt too easy to put him on the list at this point. I watched the Ravens preseason game last night. And that kid from Colorado, LaJohntay Webster, I watched him run a punt back for a touchdown. I even watched the Ravens almost run another kickback during that game. So in preseason game number 1, I would like to see Jalen Lane show me something on the punt return. It does not mean he needs to run a punt back for a touchdown, but show me that we actually have a punt returner that sees the field, has vision, and just give me a little resemblance of the player you were in college from the punt returner position. I don't really care much what Jalen Lane is doing as a receiver when Josh Johnson and Sam Hartman are throwing him the ball, and that's probably a stupid thing for me to say, but hey, is what it is, man. Next one, Jerzon Johnny Newton. He seems like a player that should show. You know what? Let's put a 3-man category on this one. Luke McCaffrey, Ben Sinnott, and Johnny Newton. Let's call them Jerzon, Ben, McCaffrey. Let's put them all together. They are all second-year players. They're a triumvirate of second-year players who we all feel underachieved in year 1. We're all going to be looking at these guys. Don't need to include them on the list. I don't think Jerzon's going to get much burn in the preseason. Well, at least in this game where notable players are probably going to be sitting for the most part. And you're probably saying, Rio, is Jerzon a notable player just yet? I still think they drafted him that high. They told us that they thought, and most of the world thought, that that was a first-round pick last year. They have to still have that type of belief in him, meaning I don't think we see too much of him in preseason game number 1. And Ben Sinnott and Luke McCaffrey, those are very easy. We need to see something from both of these players. And my last one, Matt Gay, the kicker. I'm not going to put him on my top 5, but after the kicker musical chairs that Washington faced all of 2024, 7 kickers, we went through like 4 in the preseason. We made a trade for a guy, ended up reneging on the trade because he sucked and getting our compensation. It was just a combination of meh at the kicker position. Please don't give us something to worry about. Matt Gay, come in, make your extra points, make your kicks, and let's just be done with talking about the kicker position, because Lord knows I don't want to spend any time on my channel talking about kickers. So, no, I have one more honorable mention. I know, 6 minutes of honorable mentions, Rio's wallet. Y'all know I'm unhinged. Y'all know I be yapping. The show's called Rambling with Rio for a reason. Carlin Vigors, cornerback. Another young cornerback that they could maybe sprinkle into the room. He is one of the young undrafted players whose name we've actually heard a bunch during camp, and he had a couple standout plays in the joint practices versus New England the other day. So just to wrap up, my honorable mentions list that did not make my top 5, which are a top 5 of their own. Jalen Lane, the triumvirate of Newton, McCaffrey, and Sinnott, Carlin Vigors, and kicker Matt Gay. Let's get to the list. My number 5 player that I'm looking forward to playing in tonight's preseason game is someone we've heard virtually nothing about up to this point of training camp. That would be safety out of the HBCU, Mr. Jackson State, Robert McDaniel. Just McDaniel, no S at the end. You know how us black people, we like to throw an S on everything. Debo Samuels, Miami Heats, Orlando Magics, Robert McDaniel, the 6'2", 211-pound safety we took out of Jackson State. He's supposed to be this freakish combination, height, weight, speed guy, electric sideline to sideline player. He had just under a 9 athletic score. I believe it was like an 8.85. He ran a 4.55 at 6'2", 211 safety. Safeties don't typically move like that. He's wearing number 47, looking like Quentin Dunbar on steroids. We've heard virtually nothing about Robert McDaniel so far. We've heard about a lot of safeties. Last year, the team kept 6 safeties on the final roster. I believe we have a firm 5 we know are making the roster at this point. That'll be your starters, Jartavius Quan Martin and Will Harris, with Tyler Owens as the sub package all over the field tweener guy. Jeremy Reeves is like your first alternate, and Percy Butler, special teams demon. He's been having a decent camp as well. Words we've heard before, but is there going to be a 6th safety this year? Or is that going to be a position where we feel like we could trim the fat a little bit? I'd like to see Robert McDaniel make a play. I'd like to see him stand out, and I'd like to see him lay the lumber on somebody, because this is live. They've nerfed NFL practices and they've nerfed joint practices to the point where we really don't see much physicality out of them. That's why when physicality actual takes place, they start fighting and start punching each other and turning it into the Royal Rumble, because Bamas don't hit in practice no more. They don't hit. They don't get physical. I want to see this guy make a play. I want to see this guy make a name for himself, whether that's special teams, whether that's getting his hand on a football or coming downhill and hitting somebody. I'd like to see Robert McDaniel be a part of the conversation when we do a post-game show, when we do a stock up, stock down on the players who actually took the field in tonight's preseason game. Not going to go too long on this one, but my number 5 player on this list is Robert McDaniel out of Jackson State. Would like to hear that name being called more, because he was one of our priority free agent, undrafted free agents of this one. But speaking of priority undrafted free agents, it would be remiss for me to not bring up this next person. And He's been making plays here and there, but he's also had moments of training camp where the guy couldn't catch a cold. Like there was also a play in joint practice where he didn't attack the football in the air and let that shit dribble right off his face mask like a drop of rain. Jakori Brooks, 6'2", some say 6'3" receiver, big body guy. Who the hell is going to be Washington's wide receiver 6? Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, Noah Brown. We know who the starting 5 in the wide receiver room is. In a Cliff Kingsbury spread the field, use every blade of grass that exists type of offense, you want 6 wide receivers on the field. And let's call it what the hell it is. KJ Osborne and Michael Gallup are Casper the Friendly Ghost at Washington Commanders training camp and at joint practice. So we're talking about a race between 2 ghosts, Chris Moore, Michael Strachan, and this guy right here, Jakori Brooks. My first impression does not matter because I'm not out at practice every day. But in the day that I was at attendance with Lil Rio and Jalen and Josh Taylor and all my guys, gang, when we were at back together day at training camp, I watched this guy drop 3 passes on air in a goal line fade and slant drill versus no defense. But Jakori Brooks gives me the feeling that he's a gamer. He's not a practice player. There are practice players and there are game players. There are guys like Luke McCaffrey that do everything right in practice and they'll get a catch during a game. Then there are guys that, like when I played football growing up, I fucking hated practice. I gave it my all, but I hated it. I wasn't a practice player. I was a show up when the bright lights come on type player. I'm hoping and I'm thinking Jakori Brooks shows up in a game type situation. Look at the one-hand catch he has here. He had 2 plays that stood out versus the Patriots, and those 2 plays are the catch-22 that comes with Jakori Brooks. It feels like it's either electrifying or it's very disappointing. He's dropping it or he's making a phenomenal catch. We got to work ourselves into a gray area, Jakori Brooks, where it's just consistently good. It's consistently routine. We're creating separation. We're catching the football because there have been a lot of times they're like throwing around this musical chairs room of guys with him and Chris Moore and company out there with the ones because Terry's not there to give Jaden the work right now. And they're getting blanketed. We're not even getting proper bump for our boundary cornerbacks because these receivers aren't getting it done. Well, Jakori Brooks, here you go. I present to you a preseason game where you will be out on the field a lot and you will be featured. Hartman and Josh Johnson will be throwing you the football. Go make a play. Preseason is where August legends are made, and it's where guys like Tyler Owens were able to flash enough to make the final roster. While Michael Gallup and KJ Osborne, or even old-ass Chris Moore, they're probably what the team prefers as the final receiver spot because they've got some experience. But I know what I'm looking for and what I expect. We need some goddamn youth in the wide receiver room. Terry and Deebo pushing 30. Lane's young. McCaffrey's young. Noah Brown getting up there. And with his injury history, we can call that nigga 32. So we need some youth in the room. We need some youth in the room. Going into 2026, it's going to be a bunch of 30-year-olds in Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey. So we need some youth in the room. I would prefer it if the 23-year-old 6'3" player, not only some youth, size. I would love it if some size was also added to the room because Lord knows we got a bunch of Rio-sized height-wise receivers in the room right now. So number 4 on my list is easily Jakori Brooks. Going into number 3 on the list, a player I'm very excited to see in a game setting. More importantly, because I want to see what the physicality looks like because I know what the speed looks like because I got to see it up close. One Kane Madrone, linebacker, Washington's 6th-round pick, one of Ken Norton Jr. and Adam Peters' Bruins. We know he has ball skills. We know he has superior sideline to sideline speed. I know he looks like a safety and like the leanest player I've ever seen in my life wearing number 56, but the kid has got a knack for the football. He finds it. I would not be surprised if we lived in a world where Kane Madrone goes out and has north of 10 tackles, a fumble recovery, a pass breakup, or even catches a diving interception or some shit. I know for him in year one, the team's priority is to put him out there on the field for punt, for kickoff, for special teams type. But no, I think this guy is vying to get on the football field on the defensive side of the ball, because the plan has always been for Jordan McGee, this absolute brick house of a linebacker, the alleged successor to Bobby Wagner as the Mike spot of this defense. The plan was to drink until the pain's over, but what's worse, the pain of the hangover? No, I'm just kidding. The plan was to have Jordan McGee and Dominique Hampton learning the ropes, the rigors, and following behind Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu's lead. Here's the thing. Jordan McGee has taken up permanent residency on the injury list. He fought with injuries all last year. He will not be playing in Washington's preseason opener. I hate that, by the way, because we've been sold a bill of goods by Joe Witt about how they have all these packages and all these plays and schematics designed around Jordan McGee, and we never get to see it, which is probably good. You know, you don't want to show too much in the preseason, but for somebody like Jordan McGee, you need to be out there. So Kane Madrone and also Dominique Hampton, you never hear his name called. You've heard Dominique Hampton about as many times as you've heard Robert McDaniel in Washington Commanders training camp so far. And trust me, I've searched far and wide. You need to conduct a goddamn forensic investigation to even figure out that Dominique Hampton is out there at practice with the team at this point. So Kane Madrone has a golden opportunity to earn himself some reps. He's getting bumped with the first and the second team in practice. And I know it's training camp. They mix and match all the time in these rooms and all these sub packages and stuff. But Kane Madrone is a natural ass playmaker. And that type of speed at the linebacker position, you got to find a way. Like Tyler Owens, you find a way to put that out there on the football field at some point. Here's the thing we need to know about Kane Madrone. Remember, I talked about him being a lean-ass linebacker. The boy looked like a wide receiver out there wearing number 56. Is the physicality of the NFL going to be too much for him? Does he need a year of NFL nutrition plan and protein packed on him before he can play linebacker at the NFL level? Those are the type of things we find out in the NFL preseason. Can he tackle? Can he hit? Can he come downhill and lay the wood? Word to Javon Kinlaw. Can he get out there and start banging dudes for a long time? Pause. Can he get out there and start cracking domes in a preseason format? These are things we have to learn about one Kane Madrone. So I am very excited to seeing him go out there and to earn his keep, because the best ability in professional sports is availability. So Kane Madrone, go out there and take some lunch money from some guys that are not available on Sunday. Going to number 2 on the list, one of the easiest ones to put out there. Do I need to say more? Josh Connelly Jr., Washington's probable right tackle starter for the 2025 season, our first round pick. We all saw how me and the boys reacted on draft night. It took us about 10 minutes after that dumbass reaction to realize, yeah, this wasn't a Forbes pick. This was an eat your vegetables pick. Sometimes eating your vegetables, it isn't amusing, but you need that fiber. You need that fiber. It's good for the soul. It's what keeps everything moving in there. It's that engine oil the car needs to operate smoothly. Josh Connelly Jr. as a tackle, a first-round tackle the position doesn't have the sizzle or the sex appeal if we took an edge or if we took a skill player. And following the day-to-day progress of him, it's kind of hard because out of like 10 practices, he's worn shoulder pads 4 times, 3 with his own team and 1 time versus the Patriots in joint practice. So we can't really tell. You can look at the footwork, you can look at the movement and how well he's picking up what the coaches are putting down, but you can't really determine how well he's done until you see him in a physical ass game situation. And you know what his best day? The day we've heard he's trended up the most was versus the New England Patriots the other day. Surprise, guys. In a game setting, Josh Connelly looked his best so far. We heard it from Lake. We've heard it from Kime, Nikki. We heard it from everybody who was at joint practice the other day that Washington's tackles looked very good. Did Josh Connelly get a holding call? Yes. So did Tunzel. Penalties happen sometimes. But with Josh Connelly, as long as he doesn't go out there and piss down his leg and look like a turnstile, he's going to start for this team week 1. They did not draft. I know he's 21. I know he looks my son's age 14 in the face. But we're going to learn a lot about Josh Connelly Jr. over the preseason. I wouldn't be mad if they played him for a half. I don't think we see Josh Connelly for a half. I think we see him closer to a quarter of football, especially since New England's running some of their starters. I'd like to see him go get some smoke with Harold Landry, Keon White. I'd like to see him go out there and get some starter smoke for a quarter plus in the preseason because I just want a little bit of an advertisement of what my first round tackle looks like, you know? But most importantly, we want guys to stay healthy. The Chargers just paid Rashawn Slater like the richest tackle contract in the league, and he is now out for the season with a patella tendon injury. So, number 1 for Josh Connelly, stay healthy. Number 2, I want to see activity. I want to see hands. I want to see footwork. I want to see how he keeps contact with defenders. Number 3, I just want to see him in pass blocking. I want to see him in pass block. No. I want to see him in run blocking. We know he can pass block. We know he's going to protect the quarterback. I want to see him get out there and move. I want to see 72 versus another team because the shit that we see in practice and hitting sleds and coaches and shit, we're not going to get a real assessment of him. So my number 2 on my list was Josh Connelly Jr. bringing us to the finale. And y'all know what you came here for. You already know what you came here for. You know who number 1 on this list and number 1 in our hearts is going to be of training camp, of preseason. It is Bill. It is the Bill show. And I'm not talking about Cosby. I'm talking about Jakori, Kroski, Merritt, rookie running back out of Arizona, New Mexico, all that. Number 32. That's what we came to see. Did y'all watch preseason football last night? Did y'all see Keaton Mitchell back from his injury getting busy for the Ravens? Did y'all see George Holani on the Seattle Seahawks? Loeb from the Raiders? Running backs get active in the preseason. I want 10 plus touches from Jakori Kroski Merritt in every preseason game. That's not your starting running back. That's a 7th round running back, but that's a 7th round running back that can play, that has instinct, feel. And my premonition is that a guy like this is going to stand out when he's playing against a bunch of future stockbrokers, insurance agents, and Uber drivers. So I want to see what this looks like. We don't need to be out here hiding Jakori Kroski Merritt. I will say this, as confident and as hype and as the agenda I've been pushing for this guy, Brian Robinson Jr., Brian Keefe, if you will, is the team starting running back. It's not JCM. It will not be JCM week 1 of the season. But this is going to be fun. This is the guy we all want to see in the preseason. What's more fun than following a running back? Preseason is kind of designed for running backs to make plays, bro, because guys be physical, but they're not as physical as they need to be. Guys have not tackled all summer. What better position than to just get the ball and make plays? He's fast. He's decisive. He has vision. I'm not putting a stat barometer out there for JCM. I just want it to look right. I want the eye test to look right. I want to know, I need confirmation that my eyes aren't deceiving me. What we're hearing from the media is not cap. I need confirmation that it's all real and not fictitious, because everything about this guy from the moment we drafted him, the interest pre-draft, the excitement they had after selecting him, the spring up until now, it all looks legit. It all looks real. And there's still a lot of people saying, Rio, you need to calm the fuck down. This is a 7th round draft pick. But I'm excited. Let me be excited, because even if he's a 7th rounder and he ends up being the 3rd running back in the room, this is a committee. This is a no Batman committee running back room. A guy like this is going to steal carries. Number one, let's get him through the day healthy. Number two, I need at minimum 10 touches, bro. I got too excited watching Keaton Mitchell and George Holani last night. I was like, oh, this is giving me goosies. This is giving me goosebumps, because I think we could be featuring Jakori, Kroski, Merritt a whole bunch in preseason game number 1 tomorrow. What are you expecting from Bill? Give me a nice 4 or 5 yards of carry on like 10 to 12 touches. Throw him a screen, throw him a swing pass, give him a sweep. Let's see how he runs between the tackles. Give him a little short yardage work just to see what it looked like. Bro, we know what Jeremy McNichols and C-Rod in 36, what they call him, the short bus Rodriguez. We know what they look like in the uniform. I don't need to see anything in preseason at the running back position, but Bill Merritt and Demetric Felton. Y'all can keep the C-Rod and the Jeremy McNichols reps. I'm cool on both of them. And I know, don't shoot for that. I know how this fan base, they ride or die for C-Rod. Y'all ride hard for Christopher Rodriguez. I know what he's capable of. I don't need to see him in a preseason game in the Lord's year of 2025. I want to see the guy you're looking at on screen, Bill Merritt. And I'm excited to see these 5 guys just to wrap up the list. Robert McDaniels, Jakori Brooks, Kane Madrone, Josh Connelly Jr., and Bill. And the guys that almost made the list, but not exactly for whatever reason, Jalen Lane, Newton McCaffrey, Sennett Vigors, and Matt Gay. So that is my list of players. I know you're going to be like, Rio, you're so unhinged, bro. You always do a top 5 list and have 5 things you're preferencing or caveating or something of the sort. You know, we never stick to the construct of anything off here. We're always going off schedule. I am an ad-lib improv quarterback. I know a coach would hate to see me coming in the quarterback room, but those are my 5 players I am most interested in seeing play in tonight's preseason opener. Give me your 5 players in the comments below and let me know just how much you need to see of Washington's rookies in our preseason opener. But that's going to be my time for the afternoon. I'll be live in case some big news comes out before the game. I'll be live starting at 7:15. We're going live all the way through the game, and we're continuing through for one continuous post-game stream as the game finishes. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for the love on the Jeremy Fowler video. On the way out the door, make sure you buy your tickets at SeatGeek. I've been looking to find the best deal on Washington Commanders tickets for the 2025 season, which is why I want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sporting events, festivals, and more. The NFL is right around the corner, and MLB is in full swing. I love using SeatGeek. Recently used it, lock in my training camp tickets. Most notably, I was at the Grand National Tour with my son, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA at Northwest Stadium. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 through 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad, plus every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And you know I had to come through for y'all using promo code RIO for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code RIO, R-I.